In this lesson, we're going to look at some of the more advanced face commands. We're going to look at move, split, and merge faces. And what these commands do is allow you to take a simple shape and really start to build on it and make it a little more complex. We're just going to create some basic shapes and then start using the commands on them. So I'm just going to create a box. I'll type 0 just so I know where the starting place is. And I'm just going to drag it out, something like this. Let's switch to the shaded view and we'll start working on it. So the first one we'll look at is simply the move command, and that allows us to take one or more faces and move them from their current location, and then the box that we've created will update. So this command is available under the Solid menu, down at Solid Edit Tools, then Faces, and then Move Face. We can also find all of these commands we'll be looking at under the Solid Edit toolbar. And let me bring that out. And that's going to be the Move Face command right here. So I'll go ahead and click on that. It's asking me to select a face. So I'll just select this side face. And now it wants a point to move from. So I'll just give it this midpoint location here. So currently, if we look at the command line, the direction constraint is set to normal. So I can only ever move it normal to this face. So along this axis here. And that's fine. Let's just go ahead and do that for this first move. So you can see the box immediately updates. It's still a solid, and it's just moved that face forward. It's almost as if we just scaled this object. But in more and more complex shapes, you'll see that the object actually starts to deform a little bit more. We'll undo that. We'll reapply the command again. I'll select this face, hit enter, but I'm going to switch off my constraint to none. So now this time when I give it a starting point, I can move this face kind of all over the place. And let's just move that out here and click. So you can see from that simple box, we're actually able to make this more complex, kind of a diamond shape here. And we can keep working with the move face commands. We can grab this face and really start to distort this thing. Once I've got these laying over on an angle like this, maybe I want to move them, but constrain them a little bit. So this time I will switch on the normal constraint. But notice because this face is tipped over now, it doesn't want to move along our construction plane. It wants to move normal to the direction the face is pointing, which is up in this direction. Now the shape is getting even more and more distorted. We have a very simple shape that's only made up of 6 faces. So we're kind of limited in the shapes we can actually distort or pull out of this. And that's what you use the split face command for. So the split face command is this icon here. We can select a face to split, and we'll just split this one. And it wants an axis to split along. So we'll go ahead and just choose these axes here. I'll hit enter, and now you can see this thicker line, and that's telling us that we have now 2 faces here. So let me go ahead and choose the move face command again. I'll move it from that point. And we'll move that up. Now you notice the face has moved, and this top surface and the bottom surface have had to deform themselves and add control points in there to really start to change to keep this a solid. And in fact, we're getting a very complex surface starting to develop here. It's no longer a planar surface. Let me go ahead and undo this and get us back to our original box. And we'll do the split face command again on this surface here. I don't have to just go across the object. I can go from this corner to this corner. We now have a face, and I can move this face here. Say I want to move it down like that. So we can do those kinds of moves. I can also split the face with a curve. So let's go ahead and we'll just use a circle in this instance. So I'll use my smart track and snap to the 2 midpoints, and then come out here and grab the intersection. So now I've drawn this curve directly on this shape. I'll do the split face command. This will be the face split. And this time I'll click curves up here in the command line. And here's my split curve. So when I apply that command, you can see the surface has changed with thicker lines showing up here. And I can move just this face now. And it remembers that I want it to be set to normal. So I'll tell it where we want to start from, And if I drag this up, now the whole upper surface deforms to make sure that it still matches this face and all the edges it was previously attached to. It doesn't alter the bottom at all. Let's go ahead and undo that. We'll keep going back and we'll get rid of that curve. So let's apply the split face to this face here, and we'll just split that kind of normally, and we'll apply that to this face here as well. And now we're going to do a move face, and we'll select these two faces. We'll switch off the direction constraint, and we'll move this out to about here. So we're able to move more than one face at once, and obviously our box is getting more and more complex as we move all these different faces around. You can also split the face horizontally and then move that resulting face. This time I will go back to normal, and we'll move this underneath. Now we've got a very complex, very strange kind of a shape going on, but it shows you how powerful that move face command can be. The other command we're going to look at is the merge face command. Let me go ahead and delete this. And we're going to draw a couple of simple boxes here. So using the box command, I'll type 0 to start myself at the 0, 0 coordinates. And let's make this a 10, 10, and a 10. So we've got a nice simple box here. I'll draw another box. I'll snap to the midpoint here, and then just drag up. So we have two simple objects, a box and then a smaller box sitting on top of it. Let me select those, and I'll do a Boolean union to join these together. So these are one part now. But you'll notice, if I switch off the isocurves, we'd expect to have a line here because we have a face that meets another face and there's an angle. But we also have a thick line here where this face and this face meet, and this face and this face meet. Even though these are coplanar faces, by default it doesn't merge these faces. And that may not seem like a big deal, but here's where this becomes important. If we go ahead and under our solid editing menu, select Fillet Edge, and I'll drag a box around. I'm going to put a fillet around all of these objects, which is a pretty common thing to do in Rhino. And notice this edge is not selected because it is coplanar, and neither is this edge here. Now when I hit enter on these, you can see that Rhino is unable to put a fillet in this area or in this area, and that's because these faces aren't joined, and you'll run into this quite a bit. There's a manual fix for this, and let me just show you that real quickly. So we can go up to curve, we can choose variable curve, we'll pick that edge and that edge. Just make that tangent. I'll extract this face, and then I'll split this face. And then I can resolve this a couple ways. I'll just do a sweep to rail. So I'll sweep this, this, and this, and this. I'll do a refit, and I'll select tangency. Preview that, and that fills that in for us. But if you've got a lot of objects, that's really rather time consuming. So let's just go ahead and undo this and get that back to where we were. We have our two boxes. We've applied a Boolean union to them. They are now treated as one. So we'll go up here and we'll select Merge Faces. Now there's two options here. If we left click, we have to select the faces and it'll apply the command. But we have more than one to do. So what we can do is right click and it's going to merge all the coplanar faces in this object. And now rather than selecting faces to fix, we just pick the whole object. Hit enter. And you can see it's removed that line there. This is now treated as one face. And it's also removed this line across here, and this is all treated as one face as well. So now when I go into my fillet edge, it's the same radius we used before that failed. I'll select these objects, hit enter, and now you can see the fillet has worked. Because these were merged faces, and it treated it as one face, it was able to drive this radius all the way around between the two objects. So the merge face command allows us to really simplify the faces of a polysurface and really give Rhino something it can work with. And that concludes our look at the move, split, and merge face commands.